Out of all the legendary figures in the Warcraft universe, only one follows a complete hero's journey from beginning to end. A man who battled enemies on the field as fiercely as he wrestled the war within inside himself, torn between rage and mercy, vengeance and compassion. Varian Wrynn was not a flawless king, nor was he the gentlest father, but he undeniably was both. His strength and sacrifice earned him not just the loyalty of his people, but the respect of his enemies. His story is one of transformation from raw, unbridled bravado to patience, wisdom, and understanding. To grasp how this man came to leave such a powerful legacy and to understand why his arc stands as one of Warcraft's true hero journeys, we first must walk through the life of Varian Wrynn.
In the Age of Chaos, two factions battled for dominance. The kingdom of Azeroth was a prosperous one. The humans who dwelled there turned the land into a paradise. The Knights of Stormwind and the clerics of Norsha Abbey roamed far and wide, serving the king's people with honor and justice. The well-trained armies of the king maintained a lasting peace for many generations. Then came the Orcish hordes.
Varian's backstory starts in the First War against the Orcish Horde. While he wasn't an active participant, he was present for the sacking and destruction of his home, Stormwind City. The Horde undoubtedly won the First War and took over the human kingdom of Azeroth, burning it down to its foundations. In the wake of the assassination of his father, Lane Wrynn, a hero of the kingdom and a friend to his father, Anduin Lothar took Varian away to the northern kingdoms. For the next decade or so, Varian would grow up within the safety of Lordaeron under the tutelage of King Tyrannus Menethil, and becomes friends with a fellow prince, Arthas Menethil. At this point, there are seeds of both his moral sides. He admires the martial valor, but also sees value in alliances and diplomacy, as during this time is when the Horde marched north to take over the northern kingdoms, and the alliances first formed, from Arathi to Gilneas, Alterac, and Lordaeron, as well as the non-human allies. Through the betrayal of Alterac, the combined might of the alliance still defeated the Horde in the Second War, and pushed the orcs back through the Dark Portal. Since then, there had been a few skirmishes with local orcs who had survived the wars, but aside from that, there had been general peace. Though the hatred of the orcs had still settled in the minds of everyone, including Varian, who had lost everything to him. After the Second War had concluded, Stormwind was retaken by the Alliance. Varian is soon crowned as king, though there was no peace within his new kingdom. Having to rebuild the kingdom stone by stone, the citizens of his domain worked tirelessly, but none as much as the stonemasons. In this time, Varian meets with the anchor of his life, Lady Tiffin. From a tragic childhood, Varian, now as a young man, felt he had recovered. His kingdom was back, being built better than ever. He had a lovely wife and a beautiful baby son, whom he named after the hero he had looked up to as a child, Anduin. Though the tensions only grew. Within his circle of nobles and advisors, there was one who sowed the seeds of discourse, Lady Prester. She convinced Varian that the stonemasons did not need to be paid in gold, as their love for their country should be what fueled them to build it. And I'm sure you know the next part of the story. The stonemasons revolted, rioting through the streets and tearing down what they had built. In this act, a stone had been thrown, striking and killing Queen Tiffin. Anger and enraged, Varian labeled the stonemasons as enemies to the kingdom, arresting and killing them. They would flee to the countryside and take on the name the Defias. Here is the first true tension. As king, he must govern, not just fight. Should he have used force or diplomacy with the rebellious stonemasons? The pressure for retribution versus mercy. In this moral conflict, Lady Prestor now conspired behind his back with the Defias. On the way to Theramore for a diplomatic visit, the Defias captured King Varian. Lady Prestor, who turned out to be a powerful dragon named Onyxia, uses magic to physically split Varian into his two selves, his brash warrior half and his calm diplomatic half. She takes his calmer, more docile self back to Stormwind, hoping to use and control him, and by extension, his kingdom. Meanwhile, his warrior half washes up onto Durotar and Left 4 Dead, where an orc finds him. He is then enslaved and turned into a gladiator, though being that this Varian is the warrior half, he excelled in the ring. His rage and fighting prowess impressed even the orcs, who had come to name him Logosh, the Ghost Wolf. This split is the true start of his hero's journey, represented in a physical way. While he had his first test during the rebuilding of Stormwind, this is where his story really starts. The rest of his story revolves around his two halves, and the balance he must find. Moving forward a bit, as the two stories of the two halves aren't exactly important to this topic, he eventually merges back into one Varian, though with the conflict of the Logosh side having gone through, let's just say the side had way more experience points and outleveled the calmer, more peaceful side. During his true return to the Alliance in the Scourge War, also known as the Northrend Campaign, during Wrath of the Lich King, he makes a dramatic entrance during the Battle of the Undercity, in the wake of the Wrathgate, where the Alliance falsely blamed the Horde for the loss of their men and Regent Lord Bolvar.
I was away for too long. My absence cost us the lives of some of our greatest heroes. Trash like you and this evil witch were allowed to roam free, unchecked. But the time has come to make things right, to disband your treacherous kingdom of murderers and thieves. Putris was the first strike. Many more will come. I've waited a long time for this, Thrall. For every time I was thrown into one of your damned arenas. For every time I killed a green-skinned aberration like you, I could think of only one thing. What our world could be without you and your twisted horde. It ends now, Warchief. Attack! For Stormwind! For Bolvar! For the Alliance!
He could pursue peace or diplomacy, with some in the Horde who might seek an accord. Instead, in reaction to betrayal and disdain, he chooses war. He leans toward the warrior violent side, and becomes more of a hardened war leader. His empathy for the peaceful side dims during harsh losses. However, his sense of justice, his sense of lethal necessity, is sharpened.
Thrall!
What? What are they doing here?
Let me explain.
I thought I smelled the stench of Alliance pigs. Control yourself. You want my blood? Come then, dog. He's mine.
Stop it!
We have all lost! A great deal in this conflict. But we stand to lose everything if we do not stop fighting and work together!
A true war chief would never partner with cowards. At the Wrathgate, the Horde's partnership killed more of our men than the Scourge. I'm done with your Horde. May this Death God take you all.
He was no different than a savage orc in human skin to some. Though his peaceful side was not buried completely, it managed to quell Varian for just ever a moment during the battle for Icecrown Citadel, where he came upon Varrock Saurfang, mourning the loss of his son.
Don't force me hand, Orc. We can't let you pass.
Behind you lies the body of my only son. Nothing will keep me from him.
Get back on your ship and we'll spare your life.
Stand down, Muradin. Let a grieving father pass.
I will not forget this kindness. I thank you, Highness.
I was not at the Wrathgate, but the soldiers who survived told me much of what happened. Your son fought with honor. He died a hero's death. He deserves a hero's burial. Jaina, why are you crying?
It was nothing, Your Majesty. Just... I'm proud of my king.
Varian saw himself in that moment. What if that had been his son? Since Varrock had posed no immediate threat in that moment, his empathy allowed him to spare the orc and leave with his son's body. Now, during the book The Shattering, he brings out more of his savage side. The book itself shows the point of view of several lore characters during the transition from Wrath of the Lich King to the Cataclysm expansion, one of which is his son Anduin. This is the first time any real development is given to the Golden Lion of the Alliance. It helps to flesh him out as an embodiment of Varian's peaceful side, wanting to be diplomatic rather than aggressive. His father, seeing him as young, thinks to be the naivety of youth and wishes for his son to be a warrior like him. With that, Varian sends Anduin for a short time to Ironforge to learn the ways of the warrior from one of the best, Magni Bronzebeard. Magni was well known to always having wanted a son to train as a warrior like him. However, he was given a daughter instead. He never really treated her with the respect she deserved, so she ran away into the arms of their rival clan, the Dark Iron. For the sake of time, the short end of this next part during that book is that Magni knows something is wrong, having sensed anger within the earth caused by Deathwing's awakening. He communes with Azeroth, but the side effect is that he turns into crystal. With the absence of the king, his daughter, Moira, returns with her own Dark Iron son and her inherited Dark Iron clan to take over. With Anduin still there, he was trapped and confined by the Dark Iron. Hearing that his son was in danger, Varian once again feels the tug of his warrior's rage. Gathering his best SI-7 agents, he strips off his plate armor, donning leather as he rushes in, slaughtering every dwarf until he could reach his son. He was ready to kill Moira in cold blood before he was stopped by his own son, Anduin, begging for mercy, even though she had done bad. Anduin saw there could be good that could come out of it. This is crucial, as this sets up now the dynamic between the hardened warrior Varian and his son, who sought only for peace and pacifism. However, there is also a personal turning point. Varian's peaceful side may have lost out on the leveling up, but there is one major point in his story that helps to rebalance the fallen warrior, and that is in the novel Wolfheart. This book is the turning point for Varian, not to condemn his aggression, but to embrace it and use it to bolster his peaceful side. The book itself has 3 plots. The main plot revolves around Varian's dual personality, while the other 2 were about the Highborn mages re-entering into Teldrassil and Garrosh's horde encroaching into Ashenvale. Focusing on just the Varian subplot, he is brought to Teldrassil, where he spends most of the book. Amongst the elves, he sees someone he had not seen since he was a boy, the king of Gilneas, Gen Greymane, now himself a worgen. He embodies the physical traits of a wolf, but retains his human nature for the most part, while Varian only has the soul and nature of a wolf, but retains the human appearance. They instantly clash as Varian sees Gen as someone who abandoned the Alliance, having put up a large wall around his kingdom to become an isolationist. But he is forced to confront his resentment in order to help bring them back into the Alliance. During this, Malfurion Stormrage is the one who mediates their gathering. Being one for balance of nature, he helps to find the faults in both of the Wolf Kings and tells them what they need to do. Here is the moral choice for Varian. He can continue as a king who rules through fear and anger, or he can accept mercy, inclusion, understanding, and that they are a part of leadership. He also risks losing control. Does he dominate his inner wolf or let it dominate him? However, he is not told to condemn his inner wolf. This is where Varian meets with Goldrin, the wolf demigod. He teaches Varian what it means to truly be a wolf. It isn't something to be afraid of, it is something he must control. Someone who is rage-filled will seek their own demise by their own hand, while someone who is a pacifist will find an end through somebody else's hand. He is told to seek peace, but to use his warrior side to pursue that. This leads to the final final battle of the book, where he, alongside Gen and the Worgen, run as wolves through Ashenvale Forest and clash with the Orcish horde. With his new mastery of his wolf side, he doesn't fall to a bloodlust as he did in the Shattering. He controls it. Seeing clearly and using his battle skills, he defeats Garrosh in a 1 vs 1. Varian comes out of Wolfheart more balanced. He retains his martial side, but accepts that he cannot be just rage. Forged together his warrior self and kingly self. This gives him more inner peace, better leadership capacity, and also informs him of his later decisions in diplomacy, treaty making, charity, and alliances.
We've made a thorough inspection of the wreckage, Your Majesty. There is no sign of Admiral Taylor or his ship.
200 ships at my disposal, yet the one carrying my son goes missing. What of their last message? Show me whatever you have.
We have been drawn off course. Horde air fleet. Many casualties. Shipwrecked on an uncharted isle. But the White Pawn is accounted for. Repeat, the White Pawn is safe.
Anduin.
Surprise attack! Requesting immediate, if anyone's received.
Sir, the 7th Fleet has already been dispatched, but it could take weeks before it—
There's no time to waste. We'll send a small elite force to secure this new land and bring back my son.
Into Mista Pandaria, the start of the expansion for the Alliance is learning that a ship was carrying Prince Anduin and had been attacked by the Horde. Varian is once again filled with rage, but his newfound balance doesn't make him rush in headfirst like he did before in the Shattering book. Instead, he sends his army to get his son back. Of course, this does lead to an all-out war and a lot of heartache in the lands of Pandaria, but those who had been fighting for as long as the First and Second Wars, they have just as much cause as their king or war chief to hate the others, from families being slaughtered to homes being burnt. Varian didn't have much of a role during this expansion, though a lot of growth and development went to his son, and as we discussed how Varian's rage could lead to his downfall, Anduin's peace nearly led to his. In the 5.1 campaign, Anduin faces off against Garrosh, where he is crushed under the strength of the brutal Orc. This is a turning point for Anduin's story, and mirrors Varian's, but in the opposite way. A video for another day, but aside from that, Varian had been focusing on leveling up his peaceful side by negotiating the Blood Elves to return to the Alliance. Of course, negotiations had fallen through when Jaina decided to attack them in cold blood within Dalaran, which also happened during the 5.1 campaign. All of this leads to the finale of Mista Pandaria, where Garrosh is defeated. Varian is now once again faced with a moral decision. Does he let his rage take over, end the Horde there, resulting in peace? Or does he seek peace and risk another war?
His punishment is not for you alone to decide.
I won't let you take him.
Ugh, look at them. Already they plot against us. Seize this moment, Varian. Dismantle the Horde.
Guardsmen!
Father, what are you doing?
What a king must do.
I will speak to your war chief.
I speak for the Horde.
Very well. The Horde has committed heinous crimes, Vol'jin. But some among you fought against Garrosh's tyranny. For that, I am willing to end this bloodshed. But know this. If your Horde fails to uphold honor as Garrosh did, we will end you.
Like the dark and light angels that would hover over your shoulder, Jaina whispers to him to end it, while his son begs for peace. With all of the lessons he had learned in the last few years, he makes his choice. He utilizes both of his halves, seeking peace, but that also means he uses his warrior side to warn the enemy that if they start another war, there will be no second chances. This is the pinnacle of his story. He has now found balance to fight for peace. This is what solidifies him during the invasion of the Legion. He now truly understands the balance of his wolf heart and wishes for his son to see it the same way he does. His son is still young and on his own journey to find that same balance his father has. His final words to his son is that peace is honorable, but to have peace, you must be willing to fight for it.
Anduin, I now believe, as you do, that peace is the noblest aspiration. But to preserve it, you must be willing to fight.
And he does. Varian's final moments were to give Gen, who he had once hated, now a brother in arms and his dear friend, a chance to live, to deliver his final teachings to his son as he embraced his wolf side to fight off the Legion in the pursuit of peace, giving his life for it. This is why Varian is remembered as a true hero. He stumbled often and at times let the anger or pride lead him astray. He made his choices that cost him dearly, and he bore the weight of those failures. But unlike many rulers before him, Varian did not let his stakes define him. With the help of his friends and the guidance of his son, he learned from them. He discovered that strength without compassion is hollow, and that mercy without resolve is fragile. In the end, Varian embraced both sides of himself. Logosh, the wolf who had fought without hesitation, and the king who ruled with patience and understanding. That balance, hard-earned and dearly paid for, is what made him more of a warrior or a monarch. It made him a legend.
For the Alliance.
Varian Rin's journey was not one of perfection, but of growth. He embodies the struggle between violence and peace, fury and forgiveness. He shows us that true heroism is not found in choosing one or the other, but by carrying both with wisdom. Now then, this is my first attempt at a video essay on a lore character. Originally, I had wanted to start with Anduin, his son, but issues with the last expansion had led to me stopping production of it. I want to do one on Varian because both of their stories mirror each other, but Varian's story is complete. I may be a Horde player, but Varian has gained the respect of not just the Alliance, but as the Horde as well, for his self-sacrifice, his honor, his battle prowess. If you want me to make another deep character dive or expand on the books themselves, please let me know in the comments below. I've been needing to expand out my channel to different topics, but stay within the WARCRAFT universe, so please tell me some ideas. Let me know what you want to see, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.